Bahamians from throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will go to the polls on Monday, January 28, 2013 to officially cast their ballots in a non-constitutional referendum, a first for our country, and one that has created a tremendous amount of interest both locally and internationally. In part 2 of our Vote No television special, you will hear from a variety of Bahamians on this topic, some of whom will address the legal aspect of the debate as well as those who will weigh in on the potential social impact web shop gaming and gambling will have on our society if legalized. You will also hear the heartfelt testimony from someone who has experienced firsthand the negative effects of gambling. As referendum day approaches, some in the legal fraternity have expressed concerns regarding the validity of the process, including the issue regarding the definition of the term web shop gaming. Among them, attorney at law and former chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party, Raynard Rigby.
The current process leading to the referendum on the 20th of January is flawed for a number of reasons. Firstly, the public has not had the benefit of any information to explain to them the purpose of the referendum, what is the government's intention in holding the referendum, and more importantly, what will be the implications with a yes vote. For instance, the first question asks us a question about web shop gaming. Web shop gaming is not a legal term. Gaming is a legal term, and I assume by asking the question relative to web shop gaming, the government meant something particular in mind, which has not yet been defined, which the public does not have the benefit of knowing. And the same applies to the question about the national lottery. How would the lottery be set up? How would it be managed? Are the winnings taxable? And these are weighty questions which, in my view, the government has an obligation to the Bahamian people, to the electorate.
I don't know really what is web shop gaming or web cafes, particularly if on the one hand the premises are licensed under other legislation by another name, by internet cafes. So if you've got a licensed institution that's going by under the rubric, to use a legal term, going under the rubric of an internet cafe, but then on the other hand we're saying, well, we want to license web cafes. What is a web cafe? It's not a term that is known to the law. And so we are creating problems because then if we say yes, what are we saying yes to? I mean, then it's you open a can of worms because then you could bring in you could put in any definition to that you want.
Web shops are not clearly legally defined, but the challenge here is web shop gaming, okay? There is no such creature as web shop gaming in the legal lexicon, all right? Now, there's gaming, there's gambling, there's wagering, there's betting, web shop gaming.
Web shop gaming is a slang. It is the equivalent of you saying, instead of saying marijuana, cocaine, heroin, speed, you said dope. It covers a host of different things that we have yet to define, but yet we are asking people to legalize web shop gaming. In the web shop, there are games such as roulette, there is poker, there's casino games, there is sports betting. There's at least 19 different games in there. And in the same way, we would never ask the Bahamian people to legalize dope covering all forms of drugs. We should not ask them to legalize web shop gaming covering 19 or more different types of gambling games.
The process with holding a referendum is that you actually have the legislation in place so that all of the different parameters in terms of what you're looking at, you should actually have a draft bill that should have been laid before Parliament so that you don't have to have this guessing of, well, what are we actually legalizing or what are we doing? And so they've missed out that whole big portion there of drafting the legislation and having debate on the legislation and then having it laid before Parliament and the bill to be passed before it is presented to the people as a document that they should be voting on. And so that's a fundamental problem.
One assumes that the government acts in the interest of the Bahamian people. And if you're acting in the interest of the Bahamian people, you should be able to explain to the Bahamian people what has led you to make this decision and why you believe it makes good commercial, moral, legal sense, given all the ramifications that exist, as to why we ought to be doing this now in this stage of our history. And the fact that that has not been done, for me, it's an extension of a dumbing down of the electorate rather than educating them, lifting them up.
One of the promises made by the Prime Minister early on in the process was that he and members of his government would have, as he described, no horse in the race, choosing instead to remain neutral in the process. However, there are some who are convinced otherwise.
Who has the horse in the race begs the next question. You know, this is a process being controlled by the government and its agencies. So if you do not have the horse in the race, well, whose horse is it? Who does it belong to? You are asking the people to participate in a process where you say, okay, fine, I've set it up, now I have a hands-off approach. That is not leadership. And if the process is rightly one of governance, then leadership demands that you share, you educate, and you inform the people so that they have the benefit of the government's thinking.
In fact, based on the pronouncements that you hear coming from the leadership of the government now, I think it's a reasonable inference that the government favors the legalization of the numbers business. I think that it is almost impossible not to gather an interpretation from the Prime Minister's comments that the government seeks that this particular issue, maybe for a number of reasons, but certainly for the reason of putting this behind us, and as he said, the Prime Minister that is, to put an end to this institutional hypocrisy, wishes for this matter to be resolved by a yes vote by the majority of the electorate. There's no question.
Bahamians have questioned for some time why web shops in the Bahamas have been allowed to remain open for business, even though it is accepted that they engage in the illegal practice of web shop gaming, or as many people like to refer to it as, selling numbers. Many are also wondering if these illegal operations enjoy some degree of special protection or some type of unofficial amnesty.
There have been no effort by the government to crack down the illegal operations. They've been allowed to continue during this process. There has been no effort by the government to sort of create a freeze on operations so that there's a cooling off period prior to the referendum.
It doesn't appear that the legal process is being brought to bear on their activities, and so it would appear that they are enjoying some type of amnesty in this period. Well, it's not even in terms of the referendum period, but it appears that they have the amnesty that they've enjoyed, the immunity from suit, goes back probably to about the time of the last elections, because there were elections, general elections for the Bahamas held in May. We haven't seen any prosecutions, any new prosecutions coming forward in that time. And not only that, if you open your telephone directory for 2013, you will see that there are web shops that are prominently advertised in the telephone directory for 2013 that were not there in 2012, which suggests that certain persons have been emboldened now, so that those activities that were being held underground, I think beyond even an amnesty, they've gotten a confidence and a boldness now to publicly flaunt the law by advertising in a national telephone directory.
Executives from the Save Our Bahamas Vote No committee, along with a cross-section of Bahamians, have called for the Commissioner of Police to enforce the country's existing laws in relation to the closure of web shops involved in illegal practices.
I'm pleading with the Commissioner of the Police. I'm pleading with you, sir, to do what is necessary, and let's enforce our laws, because at the end of the day, when we don't enforce our laws, it's sending a negative message to our young men, and our young women.
What message are you sending to persons? Discrimination. I have 1 ounce of marijuana. You lick me up and scruff me off. Man has thousands of dollars illegally garnered against the law, and you know it, and he's protected by the law.
He who believes in God knows that He supplies your needs, but to make this thing legal just promotes laziness and greed. If they make it legal, God forbids, to make my money tall, I don't need to work hard if I could go and see what fall. That's a horrible way to grow up from a boy into a man, to live your life dependent on this stupid game of chance. Someone said we're gonna do it whether or not we have permission, but watch how fast it changes from a game to an addiction. And if we're gonna do it anyways, the stand you're gonna take, then we might as well legalize murder, robbery, and rape. My point is, it's still sin. It's not categorized by God. I don't care if it creates hundreds and thousands of jobs. Our forefathers would literally be turning in their graves if they saw that after 40 years how far we've gone astray. Don't be silenced by human philosophies that try to make it right. Stand tall, speak up, and put up a fight. Save our Bahamas. Vote no.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign. Pastors from throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas have come together to take a stand, joining thousands of Bahamians, sending a message that's loud and clear.
All Eleuthera, vote no.
South Andres, we are voting no.
My entire church is a vote no church, and we're leading Exuma.
Bimini, we have all of our pastors. We will send out a message resoundingly that we're voting no.
Abaco's been watching this. We're ready for it, and Abaco will vote no.
On January 28th, vote no all across Grand Bahama.
Thank you, pastors, for taking a stand.
So on referendum day, we ask that you stand with us as we declare we will not surrender our country to the illegal practice of gambling.
We are voting no. N-O. Full stop.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
See, one of the beauty is I like to use the numbers provided by the web shops. According to the web shops, they have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 individuals based on the day the announcement is made. But one thing that's remained constant is their salary of $15 million. When you divide the 3,000 individuals into the $15 million, what you have is an average salary of $75 per week. That is what the web shop pays. The numbers do not lie. This is their numbers, not the government's, not the people that's opposing. This is their statistics. And it simply says that they pay on average $75 per week.
Web shop owners and their campaign have been throwing around figures of 3,800 to 5,000 persons employed in their illegal operations. However, recent information have been brought to light to confirm that they are actually only paying national insurance contributions for a total of 658 employees.
Hi, I'm Java Sherman, member of Collage Entertainment, and on the big day, I just advise you to vote no.
My name is JC Persanti, and I'm definitely voting no.
My name is Beverly Smith, and I'm voting no.
Rebecca Small is voting no.
I'm Richard Thurston, and I'm voting no all the way.
This is the Avalon, just telling all Bahamians to vote no.
Yo, it's Lyrically Blessed. On referendum day, we're voting no.
Yo, this your boy DJ Counselor. On referendum day, I want you to go and vote no. Blessed love every time, also no.
Come and be a part of the Vote No revolution that's spreading across the nation. Stand with us as we vote no against the National Lottery and web shop gaming. Let your voice be heard. Remember, you cannot change your nation if you stay at home, so we want you to get out and vote on referendum day. This ad is being sponsored by the Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
I'm Derwood Knowles. I think I'm probably recognized as winning the first gold medal for the Bahamas. I was a teenager during the period of Hobby Horse Hall, and people who would use their payroll to go to Hobby Horse instead of going home. I'm appealing to the community to please consider what we're voting for. Today we have a lot of trouble in domestic homes, and could we think about that being a problem of it? So I think that the most we could get to say no into this would be an asset to this community. Voting yes, I feel, would create chaos in this community. So please, let's say no to this referendum.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
What is problem gambling? You know, addiction, we throw the word around. I've got two definitions for you. One is very common sense and basic. If it's causing problems for you, if gambling is causing problems in your life, it's a problem.
On the invitation of the Save Our Bahamas Vote No Committee, Mr. Keith White, Executive Director of the National Council on Problem Gambling, recently visited the Bahamas to share some of his research and insights into gambling and the addiction that can follow during a specially held Vote No Community Forum at Bahamas Harvest Church.
I'm Keith White. I'm the Executive Director of the National Council on Problem Gambling. We're the national advocate for programs and services for problem gamblers in the United States of America.
According to Mr. White, when states within his country legalize gambling, the amount of people who become addicted also increase.
I think you need to be concerned about expansion of gambling without a good base of services. The more gambling that's available, the more addiction you'll have.
So America is addicted.
Absolutely. And in fact, some of the most addicted are our state governments, who become increasingly dependent on this revenue and are unable to or unwilling to look at the downside. They only want to count the jobs and the gaudy tax revenues, and it's very difficult for them to see those who do become addicted have enormous social costs. But these costs are hidden, and it's often inconvenient for government to really address them.
It is said that people who struggle with gambling addiction not only harm themselves, but their addiction also affects those closest to them.
We see that the problem gambler affects between 5 to 20 people in their immediate circle. And we know that the negative impacts from problem gambling ripple throughout the community. So while one person may be gambling and losing, they're affecting many people in terms of the consequences. If they steal to finance their gambling, if their family goes hungry, if they're neglecting their responsibilities at work, if they do go bankrupt, if they go to prison, the society in general, the community picks up those costs, those social costs. Many of these costs are public health and criminal justice costs that we all bear as taxpayers in any society.
Hi, I'm Andy Knowles. I come from a big sporting family in the Bahamas. I've been involved in swimming for some 50 years. I represented the country at the Olympic Games in 1976 as a swimmer, and some 6 times since then as an Olympic coach. I always push my swimmers to be disciplined. I've encouraged them to work hard in the pool, and knowing that they put in the time, put in the work, they can really achieve their goals. We don't want to send the wrong message to our young people. We don't want to send the wrong message for the future of our country. We don't want to tell people that you could achieve your goals by just not being committed, by taking a chance, by not being a worker at what you're doing. So on referendum day, I'm voting for the future of our country. I'm voting for the future of our youth, and that's why I'm voting no.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign. Pastors from throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas have come together to take a stand, joining thousands of Bahamians, sending a message that's loud and clear.
All Eleuthera, vote no.
South Andres, we are voting no.
My entire church is a vote no church, and we're leading Exuma.
Bimini, we have all of our pastors. We will send out a message resoundingly that we're voting no.
Abaco's been watching this. We're ready for it, and Abaco will vote no.
On January 28th, vote no all across Grand Bahama.
Thank you, pastors, for taking a stand.
So on referendum day, we ask that you stand with us as we declare we will not surrender our country to the illegal practice of gambling.
We are voting no. N-O. Full stop.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
You made a comment earlier, Darrell, suggesting that gambling is a harmless pastime that we can.
To many it is.
To many it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you from my own personal experience. I used to gamble. All right.
What do you used to do? Shoot dice?
Shoot dice. I shoot dice.
Under the street light, or in Seri and
under the street light
and rural and them places.
To Sunlight Cottage by Eagle Rock and a couple other places, right?
Okay.
But that wasn't my main. Blackjack was my main thing. All right. Myself, together with a group of friends, primarily professionals, lawyers, accountants, people in the professional world, we would get together on weekends. All right, and I started out gambling. I enjoyed it. In the company of my friends, we would have a good time. We'd talk and so forth and so on. And I had a rule. I started a rule that I'll play $100 a night, and if I lose that, well, fine, no problem.
Back up and go.
Back up and go. All right.
Or sit around and watch.
Or sit around and watch. All right. That's how it started. All right. But eventually, I got sucked in. And sucked in to the point where I was gambling Friday night into Saturday morning, go take a break, Saturday afternoon back gambling again, all right? And my entire weekends were being consumed.
Including Sunday morning?
No, usually I would break.
To go to church?
Yes, to go to church, okay? I mean, thank God, the fear of God was still in me to that point where I didn't gamble on Sundays, all right, except maybe early in the AM.
Yeah.
All right, but the point was that I became consumed with this thing, all right, and by the grace of God, and only by the grace of God, one day, like the prodigal, I came to my senses. All right. As a matter of fact, one Friday night I'd won by $7,000, right? And by Saturday afternoon, I was in the hole about $3,000. And it occurred to me, I said, this don't make any sense. This makes absolutely no sense. All right? And I just decided, look, I went to the bank the following Monday morning, got a loan, paid off my debts, and I said, and as a matter of fact, I borrowed an extra amount and I went and made a down payment on a piece of property. And that was it.
Hi, I'm Pastor Alfred Stewart, pastor of New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. As a former gambler and one who understands the power of gambling addiction, I just want to say that no just nation would want to foster such a ruinous spirit upon its people.
Hi, I'm Ranford Patterson, president of the Bahamas Christian Council. We are a godly nation who rely solely on the power of Almighty God. I ask you, the faithful Bahamians, to remember that we ought to put God first. On referendum day, let's vote no.
Hi, I'm Lyle Bethel, Senior Pastor of Grace Community Church, and I want to remind the faithful that the Word of God says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, and some, eager for money, have pierced themselves through with many griefs." We've seen the reality of that become all too common in the Bahamas, and therefore, we, the Church, remind the faithful and encourage all of you to vote no on the gambling referendum.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
It violates
our national values.
Our national values.
It hurts.
It hurts.
The most vulnerable.
It hurts the most vulnerable.
It produces social problems.
Social problems. It promotes
negative lifestyles.
Negative lifestyles. It promotes negative lifestyles. It increases crime.
It increases crime.
It increases crime.
It harms.
It harms.
It harms the economy.
The economy. It dishonors God. It dishonors God.
It dishonors God.
And it definitely dishonors God.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
One Friday I was coming home and saw some friends and we got talking, and they said, man, we're going in this game. Come and try your hand. And I went, and from that Friday on for a couple months, I kept going back. And you know what hurt me so much? I lost every cent every Friday and still kept going back. You know how hard that is? To look in my children's face, to tell them, Mommy don't have no money. They hungry, but I telling them I don't have no money. And they see me going to work every day, but I come home Friday when they know this payday, Mommy ain't got no money. What happened? I gambled it out. It became a time where I borrowed money to get food. And then that following week I was supposed to pay the person. And I stopped the gambling game again, lost that money, and was ducking the person. Couldn't pay them. But see, they ain't gonna tell you about the consequences. They only saying to you, oh, it's a choice. Yes, it's a choice. You can choose to gamble or not. But let's say you take the chance in gambling. What about the consequences? You're not only hurting yourself, because you can't quit easy like that. It becomes an addiction. You're hurting your children, your wife or your husband. You're hurting your family because they got to sit and watch you go down. That had caused me went into a life that only a good God, only a big God like Jehovah Jireh could have gotten me out of the situation I was in. Because I started drinking. I started using all sorts of drugs. I tried to kill myself. Depression kick in. Anxiety kick in. You name it. That's why I know where God has brought me from. All because of gambling. You take it from somebody who've been there and who've done it and who have lost it all. I have lost it all. When I say lost it all, everything what humanly possible to lose, I have lost it. Everything. Even had lost my husband. But to God be the glory. God brought him back. He had left because to see what I was turning into, he couldn't take it. Miserable. Gambling, drinking, smoking. Abusing myself. You know, and hurting the family, hurting the children. Because when I come home from losing everything, they're drunk, I want to get angry at the children because I ain't have no money. I put it on them rather than saying it was my fault. I did this to myself and my children and my family. Why I get mad at the children? They didn't do nothing. Why I get mad at my husband? What they do? My mother used to cry. She used to cry because she knew where I used to go to gamble. You know, after a while I said, Mommy, I have a problem. I said, Mommy, I need help. And she said, why don't you go and talk to somebody? But I didn't know who to talk to, and like something like that, you ain't feel comfortable going to people and say, I have a gambling problem. You ain't feel good to say somebody who looks so strong falling weak to gambling. God had saved me, and now I have a personal relationship with him. And my children, they are proud of this mother now. My husband is proud of this wife. They're happy to go places with me now. Before, I couldn't get them to go nowhere with me, and they're happy to go with me. They're happy to say, this is my mother, this is my wife, this is my sister, this is my daughter, because of the changes God had done in my life, in me. That's how good God is.
Hi, I'm Pastor Timiko Colley, pastor of Bethany Assembly Church. The Bible teaches us that we ought to love our neighbors as ourselves and do unto others as we would have them do unto us. Gambling violates the very spirit of these scriptures. So on referendum day, let's vote no.
Hello, I am Irene Russell, pastor of Glad Tidings Tabernacle, located on Kemp Road. The Bible speaks very plainly against gambling, as in Genesis chapter 3, we read, where by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. Therefore, God and gambling cannot coexist. I encourage you to vote no on referendum day.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
Daddy drunk, his baby crying. Can't you see it? That this nation dying. Living for pleasure, that island luck treasure. They say get more money, that make it better. They selling dreams, everybody wins. Play that number straight, go ahead, click and spin. Always playing number, never win. Coming close after about a year, there goes your down payment on a house. Do the math if you playing straight on them 4-ball. Hoping you could get an ace and draw off of what fall. Selling dreams, tell them get that life for cheap. Tell they think about it, dreaming numbers and they sleep. Yeah, they say they Christians, but they praying on the week. You playing for chance, the number bosses play for keeps. No, they ain't Christian, man, they playing on the weak. Say they play for chances, number bosses play for keeps. Vote no, no, it's a lie. I know the economy won't grow. Vote no, no, trying to make wrong right. Tell them the Bahamian people ain't slow. Vote no, no, cause if it's on the sky, yeah, you heard me, if it's on the sky. Vote no, no, yeah, I'd rather do the right thing. Tell them they could go and keep their jobs. Vote no. In this referendum, let's look at the facts. Who's really winning? You don't see what's wrong with that? Just in case you was blind or wasn't seeing, I'ma spit to you a quick 7 reasons. They violate our values. It's like Michael Jordan wearing bad shoes. And it preys on the weak, exploits the poor, and the rich only get to keep. And it costs us social ills. People put their family down for dollar bills. And it promotes laziness and greed. What's next? Legalizing drug use and thieves. And it increases crime, reduces the GDP. I'm telling you, this number thing is bad for the economy. Lastly, if this on the sky, I'd rather do the right thing. You could keep the jobs, vote no, vote no, no. It's a lie. I know the economy won't grow. Vote no, no. Trying to make wrong right. Tell them the Bahamian people ain't slow. Vote no, no. Cause if it's on the sky, yeah, you heard me, if it's on the sky. Vote no, no. Yeah, I'd rather do the right thing. Tell them they could go and keep their jobs. Vote no, no, no. It's a lie. I know the economy won't grow. Vote no, no. Trying to make wrong right. Tell them the Bahamian people ain't slow. Vote no, no. Cause if it's on the sky, yeah, you heard me, if it's on the sky. Vote no, no. Yeah, I'd rather do the right thing. Tell them they could go and keep their jobs. Vote no.
As we march towards referendum day, here's what some of our young people had to say.
Gambling is wrong. we know that it goes against God's plan, you know. So, hey, we ain't even gonna run on about this gambling thing. Because why? God say so. We ain't got to run on about the politics about, oh, we should vote yes because jobs, we should this and that, this and that. God say no. So God say no.
Just gambling is just virtually wrong. It just have problems attached to it.
For one, that's guaranteed the crime rate is going to increase drastically.
Either way, everybody does not win. Everybody lose.
I do know some young women who are gambling, and I don't think it's helping their life at all because they're gambling, but they're not winning.
I ain't good at maths, right? But add this up quick, right? Right? If you spend $1,000 a month on gambling and you win one number and you get paid, what, $200, right? So that's 1, 2, carry the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. That make no sense. See what they saying? That make no sense.
It violates God, and if we call ourselves a Christian nation, I believe that as if we should be following God's word and we should do things that are of Him.
Hey ye, Mr. Prime Minister, can I get a minute of your time? Could you listen up? I'm only writing in hopes that this will get to you before it's too late. Let me know what you think, Mr. Prime Minister. I don't know if you understand me, but let me tell you what this scam is doing to my family. First off, it took my daddy. I don't even see him. He seemed to think the number house the only house that need him. Lunch money gone, food money too.
I am out here because I believe that if you vote yes, it'll ruin the country. And I think it's designed to keep poor people poor and rich people rich.
Daddy's always out gambling. They need to argue it and I don't want to hear that noise. But I'm only a kid, so I don't have a choice. Mr. Prime Minister, no disrespect is my intention. But could you tell the people, say no to the referendum? Bring back the peace.
Yeah, look, I know I may lose a couple of fans, but what are fans if we taking a stand? Yeah, to all the mothers and the fathers, brothers and the sisters, begging you to please say no. I know it may look good in your minds, right? But we gotta look ahead, not in hindsight. And don't you gamble on the future. Stand strong, people. Let's do this for the youth. Yeah, haven't we learned our lesson from wars that divided us? Burma Road depression, no female voters, so we counted all the blessings. Still at election time, everybody's stressing. Yeah, but it'll be so refreshing to speak with one voice and make one choice. Yeah, so don't you dare be silent. Everybody counts. It's your part. You ready? Let's go. Here we go. Yeah, it's another year. Another referendum. Just say no to the lies, to the schemes, to the poison they be feeding our children. Here we go. Yeah, it's another year. Another referendum. Just say no to the lies, to the schemes, to the poison.
Hi, I'm Java Sherman, member of Collage Entertainment, and on the big day, I just advise you to vote no.
My name is JC Passanti, and I'm definitely voting no.
My name is Beverly Smith, and I'm voting no. Rebecca Small is voting no.
I'm Mr. Thurston, and I'm voting no all the way.
This is the Avalon, just counting all the Bahamians to vote no.
Yo, it's Lyrically Blessed. On referendum day, we're voting no.
Yo, this your boy DJ Council. On referendum day, I want you to go and vote no. Blessed love every time, also no.
Come and be a part of the Vote No revolution that's spreading across the nation. Stand with us as we vote no against the National Lottery and web shop gaming. Let your voice be heard. Remember, you cannot change your nation if you stay at home, so we want you to get out and vote on referendum day. This ad is being sponsored by the Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
With all the drug scourge and the epidemic and all the things that bring the pain to this Bahamas, on top of this, if we don't get it right now, this number going to add on top of that and going to devastate the Bahamian people so bad that they themselves even can't come over the next 2, 3, 4 generations.
I think it's a bad idea. I think gambling brings in the social illness in this country. And right now, even though that they're saying that it creates 4,000 jobs, but they have to look beyond the 4,000 jobs. God is our supplier, and just how He created 4,000 jobs in the gambling, He could create 4,000 jobs in the tourism industry, in the hotels. Other ways and means of you could create jobs. On my workplace, gambling has a large effect. And to me, I don't think it's beneficial in my workplace. No, it's not beneficial. One day they're up, the next, they're more down than they're up. Most of them, from what I have observed. It's not good. They're losing. I think the only people that's winning in it is the leaders who involved in the gambling houses, who own the gambling houses. They're the winners. I don't think the people are the winners.
But what I notice is that a lot of people are responding that they are voting no. You put a flyer in their hand, and some people say, "Oh, I definitely vote no." You know, so it was very encouraging to hear.
In general, people were supportive of what we're doing, and I think they're supportive not just of the gambling, but they're supportive of the country. And I think that's the issue. They understand this is a matter of the soul of the country that's at stake here, not just a simple matter of gambling, whether it's legal or not.
I think overall for me as a citizen, community person, I think if we vote yes on this, I think it will be a moral decay eventually. We can't just think about the now. We have to think about the future. And if we claim that we are a Christian nation and we were to pass this in terms of voting for the yes campaign, what is next? Then we're going to be legalizing prostitution. Are we going to be legalizing other issues that we have as press? We have violence. What is next? And so I do applaud what you all are doing, and definitely my vote will be no. And it's just for the integrity part of it. We have to stand up if we say we are a Christian nation.
We have a jumping festival. I vote no because as one of y'all might know me, one of the famous entertainers in the Bahamas. Most of the tourists know me. I made a lot of money and lose it on gambling. I finished like boom. Over $1 million. I vote no. You'll have a real good time and lots of fun in the Bahamas. We have a Bombay festival. Whoopsie man.
I'm Pastor Vaughn Cash, Senior Pastor here at Evangelistic Temple. The Bible tells us in Isaiah chapter 65, verses 11 and 12, that the nation of Israel rejected God in favor of worshiping the Babylonian gods of chance, luck, fate, and destiny. We want to be careful here in the Bahamas that we do not make these gods gods of the Bahamas. So I encourage you to vote no on referendum day.
Hi, my name is Pastor Mario from Bahamas Harvest Church. Every so often, each generation is faced with a strategic inflection point where we must make a decision for our nation. That decision oftentimes means honoring God or dishonoring God. On referendum day, corporately, we have the opportunity to make a decision that will bring honor not just to our nation, but honor to the world by voting no.
Sponsored by Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign.
The referendum gives you an opportunity to deepen democracy, to establish a regime of greater, more expansive participation in the process of governance. If you don't like the way that process is being now established or exercised, express yourself. Go to the polls and choose either yes or no. If you believe that, yes, well, I don't necessarily like it, but I think I like the idea of us kind of regulating this gaming industry. If you don't like the process, but you don't like the idea of gambling, so don't complain.
Each person will now reshape the Bahamas. It's now being reshaped by this vote. So if you want it to remain decent, proper, law-abiding, at least in posture, if not in experience, at least in posture, then you have to say, no, not this way. We're not going to change it this way. We'll have to find another way to change it. We will not allow a law in the country which opens the door of this unproductive activity called gambling to any and everybody who wants to, whenever they want to, wherever they want to, however they want to. Because behind it, it is not freedom is not the issue behind it. It's accumulated wealth by a minority. It's another kind of tyranny. The tyranny of the minority who wants money by using you to produce it for them.
to the Christian out there who is saying that I don't gamble, it doesn't make a difference to me, then, I'm not going to go there and vote. You shouldn't have that mentality, because you have a national responsibility, first of all, as a Bahamian, to voice your opinion as to how you feel this country should run. Because at the end of the day, this country is not only for you, but it's for your children, it's for your children's children.
It is important for everybody to go and vote, to have a voice. Because by not going to vote, all you're saying is whatever happens to our country, I agree. That's all you're saying.
Wickedness reigns when righteous people do nothing. This is the instance when the Christian church and those who are on the side of God and God's Christ, where we must take a side and take a stand and say, in this instance, even though it may be culturally acceptable, we don't believe that it is in conformity to the witness of sacred scripture, and that thereby we are standing with God, because anyone who stands with God will always come out a winner.
My advice to the government would be, don't legalize it, because you're only thinking about the tax and trying to help the people, but you're not going to be helping the people. You're going to be hurting them.
It is the church's responsibility to be that sounding trumpet, that agent of God, so that those who would have ears to hear would hear the truth of God, and those who by faith will live by faith, those are the people who we believe will do what God has mandated them to do, and to be God's agent in a tangible way in this instance on the 28th.
As we approach referendum day, I encourage all Bahamians who are eligible to turn up at the polls in large numbers and join us as we send a message loud and clear that we will not turn over the keys of our country to the illegal practice of web shop gambling. We also ask that you stand with us and reject the proposal to introduce a national lottery and to regulate and tax the illegal practice of web shop gaming by voting no on questions 1 and 2. And remember, if you don't show up at the polls and vote, you will have to accept and live with whatever the number bosses decide. So, on referendum day, turn up and vote no.
Boy, I know how we can know if the ball in or if the ball out. Keep them lines. Yeah. We done way off course and we'll never know, cause we changing them lines. Hey, listen up, let me share something I know. How far you want our country to go? Today gambling, then prostitution and drugs. And who's to say same-sex marriages and then round? Boy, leave them lines. Leave them. We done way off course and we'll never know, cause we changing them lines. Changing lines as we go. Illegal immigration is another one of those things. We turn a blind eye, now it's bursting out the seams. We've got the mud pigeon peas and the other slums that came about cause we ignored the lines that kept them out. Boy, leave the boundary lines. We done way off course and we'll never know, cause we changing them lines. Yeah, we change them as we go. Lines were drawn by our forefathers long ago, no doubt led by God so our country can grow. Now all of a sudden we much wiser than them. We changing these lines to suit a defiant crew. Oh,